All right, guys, we're doing this again. All right, so thanks for tuning into another episode of the HardBody Chronicle. Um, I know I'm about 10 episodes into this thing. I've never really shown you the stuff that I make, so just because there's been a lot of stuff to talk about. Taking a break from the pandemic and all the misery going on around the world. So I want to get back to what I was actually intending to do with this whole hard body thing. So this is kind of story time for a lot of you. I think I'm gonna put this on my business page and also my personal page so people can maybe catch up and see what's going on. So yeah, story time. So this whole thing started just from me just being curious about things in general, right? So I've always liked knowing how things are made or how they're built. I feel like a lot of people go on with their lives never really knowing how something was created for them to use or enjoy, whatever that is. I remember as a kid, there was this show called I think it's How It's Made, and on the surface it just seems really boring because it's just all kinds of shit: hot dogs, shoes, any kind of equipment, cars, whatever. Like they had a little segment on how it was made, and to me that's always been fascinating. I don't know if the show's available. I thought it was somewhere on Netflix, but I'm not sure if they kept it around. Um, but I think it's on YouTube, and you can definitely find clips of it. But they do everything. Uh, they've any item you can think of, they've probably covered in one of their segments. And that to me was always really interesting. I'm not an engineer or anything, so I don't have the skills to really um, go through with completing an item from start to finish. But I appreciate everything that goes into how you make something because it's not easy. There's a lot of there's a lot of planning, development, testing to get anything made, whatever the fuck it is. It all takes a really long time to actually create. So yeah, it's something for me has always been interesting. Just manufacturing and or just arts and crafts, whatever it is any sculpture, paintings, anything like that. I've always appreciated and liked seeing how you start with nothing and make it into art or something you can use. So to me, that's always been interesting. Um, Not that I ever worked in any kind of factory or really built anything from scratch, but like I said, it's always just something that I've admired and always been curious about. So and for me, like just in general, the way I I learn about things is just if it's something that I'm mildly interested in, I kind of like knowing everything about it. So um like in terms of hobbies, I like video games. But I also like playing video games on actual arcade hardware, as a lot of you may or may not know. I like knowing how all things are wired up and functioning together to create an experience, which is playing a game. I don't know everything about it, but I like kind of at least having some kind of background knowledge on the things that I participate in. So just any of my pastimes, I try to be well versed in all of it. Um, I may not be a master of any of them, but I just at least like having a, a good amount of background knowledge as to what goes into what everything I'm into. I mean, some of I like shoes and whatnot, and that's a whole nother weird collectible thing. I mean, shoes go for hundreds of dollars, and it takes about $14 of material and labor to actually produce, but you're paying, you know, uh, retail or even resell, just because it's collectible or whatever. So yeah, I like kind of getting into the finer details of whatever uh, interest I have, and I've always been kind of handy. So if it's something that I can kind of learn about it or fix myself, I read up on it and try to see how far I can go on my own before I need help. So um, yeah, so I've just kind of always been curious, always been somewhat competent with my hands and putting things together, building them. Um, I have a good eye too. Like I like in terms of drawing and whatnot, I can kind of freehand a lot of things. Um, so that also helps kind of seeing how to assemble things correctly or how they should look or how they kind of visualize it in your head before you even put it together. You should kind of already know how it should work. um, so just yeah, so I feel like I've always had a knack for that. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of how I ended up in IT. I just, not that I was like super computer nerd or anything. I just kind of like knowing how things were put together to make a computer functional, and it kind of just went from there. I never took any kind of A+ certification or anything, um, any formal instruction on IT. I just kind of did it all, just out of curiosity, and then also just from on the job, I was able to pick things up, just kind of just the way my brain works. So I can kind of figure things out, um, and apply it. So it's not just the smarts to memorize things, but kind of actually physically apply it to a piece of equipment and have it work. So um, it's something that's always been kind of I've had a natural inclination to do that. So um, it hasn't really steered me wrong yet. So uh, yeah. Um, so again, back to what I'm doing with this whole HardBody apparel thing. Um, I'll say this forever. YouTube is one of the best things in this era that's been created. Like, it's everything that you possibly want to learn about is on there. Um, and whether it's fixing your bike, how to prepare a dish, how to make something, it's just anything you could possibly be interested in is already up there. And there's a visual aid to kind of walk you through it, which is something that um, it's just unprecedented. Like, it's insane. Like, anything you could possibly want to learn about, for the most part, is on YouTube. And um, yeah, so like in terms of my apparel brand, I like I talked about it already, but shoes I've always been a fan of. And with shoes, you're always in the loop as to what's trending, what's popular and what's selling and whatnot. So um, a lot of things that I'm into are clothing related. I don't, I'm not buying everything that's ever comes out. But some pieces here and there that I think, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a cool shirt. That's a cool pair of jeans, or whatever, whatever it is. I kind of always keep tabs on it. But um, one of the things about trends and fashion, um, it gets to the point where everyone's just buying the same shit over and over, right? Like, I mean, shoes. Everyone's buying the same fucking pair of shoes because everyone wants it. It's highly coveted. Right there, Jordan 11s. That's kind of one of the the most sought after models of Jordans, right? And everyone had at this point everyone's already got a pair, but they re-release it, people buy it again. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've got multiple pairs of that one fucking shoe for like no reason, just because just because I'm a fan of it. But part of it, there's a collectible component to it, so that's another aspect of shoes that kind of goes into it as to why some of them resell for so much or why they sell out instantly. So there's a lot of things going on there, but um, like I was saying, it just seems like we just end up buying the same shit, and then we all just look the same, right? It's just, oh, you have a Supreme shirt. Oh, I have it too. Cool. Oh, I have the fucking hat. Oh, you have, cool. We're in the same things, right? Um, so that's the kind of the lame part of it that I don't really like. I don't know. Maybe maybe there's people out there that don't even put any thought into what the fuck they wear. They don't care, and that's cool. I mean, you focus on other things. That's you do. Do you? It's all good. Um, but for me, I've always like just if I can put my own touch on it, I will. And yeah. So one thing about me is that for a very long time, you couldn't find slim fit pants. Like it's just not a thing, right? Nowadays, everyone's got skinny jeans, slim fit. Um, but for the longest time, like even through throughout my time in high school, like everything was fucking boot cut, and the fucking your pant legs were like this wide. And it's like everything looked everything looked and fit horribly. Like I don't look at any pictures of the 2000s and the 90s. Um, the 90s had kind of the oversized thing, which was kind of cool, but we didn't really grow past that until the new millennium stuff. um, so for me, that was always shitty because I have really skinny legs. Um, so to find a pair of pants that fits well, or to find dress clothes, or to find um, suits off the rack, it's fucking impossible. Like my upper body's like wide, and then my lower body's like super like slim. So I can never buy dress clothes that fit well for the longest time. Um, so yeah, it wasn't until like maybe when I was in, I think college, when slim fit stuff actually started coming out. Um, so it made it a lot easier to buy pants that fit well. Like that's all I wanted. I don't, you want to wear baggy jeans, that's cool, but it just on certain body types, it just looks kind of dumb. And I'm all about aesthetics, so to me that bugs me. Again, a lot of people don't give two shits about what they wear, and that's cool. But I like having. I want to be at least somewhat well put together. Not that I'm like some fucking fashionista, but there is a little bit of thought that goes into what I'm wearing. So again, so like for example, jeans and pants. For me, it's always really hard to find a nice looking pair of jeans. Um, so what I ended up doing, I ended up learning how to use a fucking sewing machine, and I just did that on YouTube, right? Because I wanted to taper my jeans a certain way, um, to where they weren't like tight. It was just kind of just slimming down the leg a little bit, and then it'd be a nice clean look and fit. But you can never fucking find that up until like recently. Taper jeans weren't a thing. Kind of just like slim and skinny cuts. So yeah, I was like, man, I'll fucking and I like if you ever looked about getting into a suit or any kind of bespoke type thing, like it's everything's cut to your body type, so it always looks right. Um, so I went to a tailor. I said, hey, look, I got these pants. I want them cut like fitted a certain way, how much does that cost? And just for like uh pretty much just to taper any pair of jeans, they told me $20. I was like, bro, I bought these jeans at Ross. They were $20. So now I gotta pay another $20 to get them to fit in the way that I want them to fit. So um I mean, there you go. I went on YouTube. I'm like, how to taper jeans, and there was like 1,000 fucking videos on it. So I mean that's just it's mind blowing how much knowledge is out there. Um, it's just I didn't have to go ask my mom, hey, how to do this. I could have, we've already talked about it and whatnot. Like she knows that I'm kind of into that thing, so because she knows how to do all that kind of stuff. But part of me is also I don't like bothering people. I just like trying to figure things out on my own. As far as I can take it. And then if I get really stuck, then I'm like, hey, how'd you do this or whatever. And then I try to seek more help. But usually that's just kind of how I've always been. So um, I try to do as much research as I can on a topic. And then, but like on YouTube, like I found out exactly how to do what I wanted to do. And now all my jeans, they're fitted just to me. Because the thing is with any jeans any jeans you buy from the store, even if they're slim or skinny fit, the rise of the jeans and those cuts of jeans are super high. So, because they're trying to be just super tight, but I don't like when that shit's all up on your nuts and like all this is just suffocating. So I'll buy like a looser cut, maybe like a slim fit jean, and then taper that, and then I can have my balls breathe and not have all this shit tucked in. Because that's the thing about skinny jeans is they're cut, they're tight everywhere versus a regular cut or a slim cut. It's more, they're just not as wide. So that kind of shit. Again, no one ever really thinks about that, but I do, and that's just because I like things a certain way. And if I can change it to where I can make it work for me, then I'll figure it out. And that's just kind of how I've always been. So again, with HardBody and the apparel line that I've created, um, I mean, really, it just started because I was just curious to see what just branding in general and logos and that kind of thing. I was curious. Oh, what does it take to just make your own T-shirt? Like I want to. I have this phrase that I've been associated with for a long time. Um, what if I put that shit on the shirt? And so so I look into it, like any like this is the Nike shirt, like this is all any logo tee is done the same way, and it's been done the same way forever. Like it hasn't really changed. Like there's there's two ways to do it, right? So one is a more high-tech way, which is direct to garment, and that's essentially you get whatever garment you have, you stick it in this machine that's essentially like a fucking laser jet printer, and it just prints the design with these weird inks. And it has a different texture to it. Like it feels really plastic. I don't know, really plasticky, like a vinyl type print. Um, and bang, it's done, right? And you sell it. And then there's the more traditional way, which is silk screen printing. And that you get an actual silk screen, and then you cover it in an emulsion, and then you essentially take a transparency, you put it on there, you expose that emulsion to a certain amount of UV light. It burns that image into the emulsion. You wash off the emulsion, and then you have like a negative of your image on the screen. And then on the screen, you put your ink, and then you actually print it with a squeegee. You just load it, and then apply plastisol ink or water-based ink onto the garment. And that's pretty much it. Like, it's not fucking rocket science. When, I was just looking around. I don't even know how it, to be honest, I don't know how it happened. I think I was looking at some shirts that, I just saw online. Oh, that's a cool design. And I looked at the website, and the website was selling, I guess they do a lot of, like metal band shirts for independent labels. And so, they all this kind of certain look to them, a lot of crazy fonts and gothic looking imagery and or even gory. It's kind of, I mean, it looks interesting. Some of it's a little too much, but I thought it was cool. And I looked them up, and they had a Facebook, and they show you kind of the process of how they make a shirt. Now, granted, this is like a professional, full blown business, and they have like these automatic silk screen presses. But it's cool. It's like, a really big screen, massive squeegee, and just kind of automatically, it does one color, and it changes the platen to another one, and does another color, and so it's just kind of showing you the whole process. And um, I just kind of looked it up because they actually showed you how to do it, or how they do it, and then I look at the whole process as a whole, and just kind of I just realized, hey, you know what? You can actually do this at home. You don't need a crazy amount of equipment or space. And for me, in my very small 1-bedroom condo in Seattle, it was something that I could, hey, I'll invest a little bit of money into it and just see what I can do. So, um, yeah, I mean, really, it doesn't take that much to make your own shirts. Um, but there is a certain amount of finesse and skill that you have to apply when you're printing your shirts. It's not, I gave a very simplified version of what goes on, but there's a lot of things that could go wrong when you're doing it. Um, for one thing, printing on different colors takes there's certain little differences. Also, the inks you use also affect how you apply them to your screens, and how you cure them, and how you treat them after the fact. So there's definitely a science to it, and the craft that you got to learn. Um, but I did some tests, and just put it on my personal Facebook, and it kind of blew up a little bit. At least, I'm not some social media giant or anything, but it actually got a good amount of attention in person, on Facebook. People at the gym were asking me, "Oh, that's cool. I like how you do this and that." And so I got a lot of comments on the stuff that I put out. So I thought maybe I'm onto something. I don't know. I like to think that I am, but so I just kind of went with it, and I kind of just it made me kind of go through this fucking rabbit hole of everything that entails having a business, having an online business, um, how to perfect the craft of silk screen printing, but also how to actually um, create the imagery behind a lot of this stuff. Before this, I had very basic knowledge of Photoshop. I still do, but now I can kind of do some damage if I needed to. So I'm just kind of constantly learning shit in Photoshop, also learning things in Illustrator. So kind of, you massage the images in Photoshop, get them to how you want, make sure resolution's all good. And then depending on what you're trying to do with that image, then you can kind of go to Illustrator and actually make it ready for print. And by print, I mean to create a transparency that you use to expose your screens. So, like I said, it was something that I could actually do. Like, so I have a single print, um, a single color silk screen press. So I just I do primarily white or black inks, so I can actually just get by with one color with a one color press. I'll show that to you maybe at a later date, just because I'm not really set up. Like usually, I just do this shit in my kitchen. So, um, but as you can see, I have some of my merchandise here. Some of it's kind of I may or may not. I don't know, depending on what kind of feedback I get. I might put it up on the store. But it does take a good amount of work to do um, to 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 finalize. I would say maybe 20 pieces. It takes about half a day, maybe even a whole day, depending on whether I'm doing the sleeves or the back. Just kind of depends on how many sides of the garment I'm actually going to print on. So it is a good amount of work. Um, I've got a decent system considering how limited I am in space, but um, it does, it's manual labor. Like it's a craft. So it's cool to see a blank shirt and then you kind of put your touches on it. So to me, I like seeing that whole process from beginning to end. Again, that's just kind of how I've always been. I like knowing how things are done and made, and silkscreen printing is no different. So yeah, so like I said, this is probably gonna go on my personal YouTube and then my business page. Um, I just kind of want everyone to know um, that I really am pursuing this. I have a web page set up. It's live. You can check it out, but there's nothing for sale yet. So that was one funny comment that I got. It's like, oh, cool, but I can't buy anything. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. So that's something that I got to work on. The thing is, once I put stuff for sale, like it's gonna make it a real thing, right? Like it's gonna be something that I'm gonna have to keep up with. And again, I feel like I'm onto something. And what you see here, these are just some of the. These are like the. This is like the base image or the logo that I have. So I'll just point this one out right here. So that's it. Hard body. Um, so that's it, right? That's the main one. But again, there's a lot of work that goes into that, kind of the whole design process of how I made that logo. It took fucking forever. Um, Part of it was kind of solidifying something, and then also trying to figure out how to execute it in Photoshop. So, um, but yeah, so I can actually show you guys one of the screens. Well, I'll show you the start. How it all actually starts. So you can see here, these are transparencies, kind of like back in the day in school, and the teacher would put stuff up on the overhead projector. Same thing. I actually don't really know what transparencies are used for nowadays, but here you go. So you make your design, right? You finalize it. It's good to go. No, there's just two of them, right? One's inverted. So one's the original color, however you envision it, whether you want to do black ink on white or whatever. You have to invert it if you want to do white ink on black. So, excuse me. So again, there's always little nuances that you gotta figure out when you're doing this stuff. And then from there, you have to get a silk screen, right? So when you buy a silk screen, it's going to be all white. So right here, that's what it looks like. What you do is you have to coat the screen with an emulsion. This one happens to be pink, but you coat both sides with the emulsion, and then you let it dry. And like I was saying earlier, Um, it's light sensitive, so you have to essentially keep these screens in the dark until you're ready to use them. So yeah. So anyways, so if you once you're ready and you say, all right, I have a design that I want to make, you get your transparency. Your transparency, right? And you essentially, you know, say I was going to start from the beginning. I would just put it here, right? And then you have your lighting unit, which is, so again, the emulsion is UV activated. So you put it under light or UV light for depending on how many seconds, it all depends on your setup. But for me, I think it's about, how many seconds? I want to say like 8 seconds or so. I have a black, it looks like a black light, but it's a UV light that just, you hang over it, you expose it for like 8 seconds. After that, you take, remove the transparency, and then you get a hose and you wash this out. So this all comes out. So it just kind of cures the emulsion to the point where it just kind of like rubs off. It's kind of weird. I've never really worked with anything like that. I've never done photography. I don't know. Like, this is all brand new to me. So yeah, so that was kind of a trip actually figuring this out. So once you wash it away, you get a hose or a power washer or whatever you want to do. The pink emulsion comes off, and you have a negative of your image. So that's like one step of it, and then from there, you get your ink. You load it on here, and then you essentially just squeegee it onto the garment. So usually you preload it a little bit, get it covered, and then you, at an angle, you kind of cut the ink onto the garment. So, and then from there, you pretty much, it just becomes kind of a process of curing the plastisol inks or whatever you're using. And there's a few ways to do that. You can either do it with an oven or a heat press. Again, it just depends on what kind of equipment you have. And then that essentially cures the plastisol ink on your garment so that, it doesn't wash off. Just like anything, it's not forever, but that's pretty much it. That is the basis of silk screen printing onto garments. And as you can see, I have some concepts here. Yeah, I like hoodies. You like this. I have the HardBody, that's the standard logo that I have. Then I have a very egotistical run that I did, St. Pablo, and that's an ode to Kanye West and him making an album about me. So there you go. So I did that. Yeah, so you can see another one over here. This pink. It's a HardBody text with the O replaced with the logo. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of the stuff that I've been practicing with, trying to master. And it's been fun. And I think every time I put something up on Facebook, people are like, "Oh, well, how can I get it? Or when are you going to start selling it? Or are you going to do that in white or black or whatever the fuck?" But so, let's see. Let me show you some other one. This is cool. It's the standard logo with the St. Pablo on there. Some other hoodies, kind of atypical colors, with that light blue. Also, and I think these are just going to be for me, unless you actually want to buy one. It just all depends on the feedback I get. So yeah, that was a very long-winded way to say go buy my stuff. No, just kidding. Again, I might do like an actual video of me printing. It's just I have to figure out an actual way to set it up because I'm working in a very small space, which is my kitchen. So, um, but I might do that. It'd be interesting to show you guys the actual process from beginning to end. So yeah, so this is kind of some of the stuff that's on the way. Um, so I'm not just talking out of my ass. I am making stuff out. I think my hesitation in actually going live with selling stuff is I want to make sure that my technique is perfect, because I don't want to sell shit, right? Like this, there's a lot of nuances in how you apply the ink and how you cure it so it doesn't wash off, and and more importantly that it looks clean. Like there's one that I messed up on over here, and that's just gonna be mine. But it's just, um, I want to sell a good product. I want to sell decent quality garments, and I think it's a unique concept and design. And also the thing is for me is I want to make concepts that are cool to me, right? So I have a lot of weird interests that you can't really buy on shirts. A lot of it's from MMA or grappling. That's lifestyle things that I don't really find, and the stuff that is out there is super. It's fucking looks terrible. Like for a while, we had a lot of affliction tap out type things, and I kind of want to put my own spin on that. I've experimented with rash guards. Um, so I'm working on stuff, and as I go through this process and journey, I'll show you guys. And depending on what people are interested in, I might do like a certain production run of a specific type of garment. Um, yeah, I mean, because again, I mean, it's I don't know. I like to take it as far as I can, but at the same time, got to be realistic. But if at the end of the day I get a lot of cool shit that I made and I get to wear, it's like a one-off. I'm good with that too. Um, but I would definitely appreciate any support that you guys show to my page and my social media. I'm going to put that all in the description so you guys could keep up. I'd appreciate the likes and the follows on all social media if you have the time. And who knows, maybe I'll do like a giveaway or something just to kind of put myself out there and hook someone up with some free shit. Um, Once I have more stock, because these are all kind of like one-off things that I've done, and that's like doing one-offs. It takes more work than just doing like one of the same thing. So at some point, I'm gonna do like probably estimate if I do like a full production run, maybe 30 to 40 shirts, ranging in sizes from small to 2XL or whatever, and then just see how that sells and just go from there. Because again, you know, I can just talk about this all fucking day, but if there's nothing for you to buy, it doesn't matter, right? So, thankfully, I'm in a position where I'm not depending on this income, but it'd be cool if I could. Hey, I'll take it. I'm all about the American dream, so if I can get by and just be my own boss, I'll be tight too. But baby steps, one thing at a time, and we'll just go from there. So, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. That's all I got for today. Um, Again, I'm not talking just out of my ass. I am making this stuff. I'm testing stuff out. It's just I don't want to. I don't want to just I want to give a good, like, again. I want to sell you guys a good product, and it has to be up to my standards. So I'm just not going to put out random shit. What I see a lot in this industry is that um, a lot of people are silk screen printers, but they take clients, for custom whatever shirts they want. And it's always like, hey, it's always something. I'm not hitting on that hustle in any way, but I feel when you like mass produce logos and concepts, they kind of get watered down. versus if you just focus on a brand that you want to create and want to put out there. Um, to me, that's a little more interesting than, making sure it's for local construction company or, you know, bachelor party, baby shower, that kind of shit. Like, it's cool because the thing is, it all still takes pretty much the same amount of work. So that's why my hat's off to silk screen printers who, run a business and make stuff for companies and personal parties or private parties. It's just kind of like, that's a lot of work because you have to make a one screen just for this one job, and that's a lot. So that's not the kind of work that I'm trying to do. If anything, I'm more just trying to do like a lifestyle brand type thing and just go from there. Because I want to incorporate the podcast, the HardBody Chronicle, HardBody Apparel. What happens after that, I don't know. But again, just trying to build this brand and spread it to the masses, and hopefully it picks up. We'll see. So again, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully everyone's staying safe out there in these crazy times. Blessings to you and your families. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you.